I've been seeing these pegboard shelves pop up over the past few months in different places on the line. I had a leftover piece of 1/2-inch plywood, so I figured I'd give one of them a try. I cut the plywood down to 2 feet by 3 feet and used 4-inch and 6-inch spacing for the holes. I marked out all the hole centers, and since I had a 1 1/4-inch dowel, I made my holes with a forstner bit of the same size. It was a total of 30 holes, so the drilling wasn't so bad. It only took punching through one time and denting my work table to realize I needed a wasteboard so I didn't accidentally drill holes in my work table.
And the drilling. So much drilling.
Instead of sanding the holes, I routed out the front and back of the holes with a 1/4-inch roundover bit. After routing, I sanded the front side down to 120 grit since it was already fairly smooth, and no one was going to see the back, so that only got 80 grit. Next, I gave the entire board 3 coats of bright white paint since I had some in the house. I ended up using a roller for the second and third coats. This seemed to work a lot better. And I was a little surprised that I needed to do a light sanding after the first coat. I took some of the plywood that I had left over and cut out some shelves about 4 inches deep. I ripped them down on my table saw and then cut them to size over on the miter saw. After the shelves were cut and painted, I glued on some square dowels to keep the shelves from sliding off the pegs. Then I set up a stop block back over on my miter saw and cut out 8 pegs from the 1 1/4-inch dowel. I decided to hang the pegboard with a French cleat since it's heavy and there won't always be an equal weight on both sides of the board. In this part of the video, I realized that my table saw blade hasn't been sitting at 90 degrees. I also realized I couldn't get my blade to 45 degrees, but then I decided that 46.2 degrees was close enough. I ended up fixing this later. If you're not familiar with a French cleat, it's just a board cut lengthwise at 45 degrees. The bottom portion will be attached to the wall, and the top piece is attached to the board. This allows the top portion to rest on the bottom portion on the wall. In this case, I also added a spacer on the bottom of the pegboard to avoid any rocking while it's hanging on the wall. And here's the finished product. I set it up on my work table right now since I'm not quite sure where it's going to go in my house.